of open mics, and that leads us to our feature of the evening. I'm really glad to have Lia here. A very fine voice, very fine voice. And I know you're going to enjoy this. We share a hometown, Fremont, California. I grew up there, and Leah's also from Fremont. And Lia came highly recommended by Avacha, which is saying something, believe me. And she appeared at Sacred not long ago, and that was my inspiration for inviting her to feature. This year, Lia was on the short list for Youth Poet Laureate of Alameda County, and she has been a writer ever since first grade when she made homemade hardcovers out of cardboard. And I had a similar story to that, so when I read that somewhere, I had to put that in. Lia believes in the power of poetry to enact social change, something I profoundly agree with. And when I did the promotion, the clip that I shared was her appearance at the series hosted by Pegasus Books in Berkeley. It was part of their monthly reading series, Lyrics and Dirges, which I think is a great title for a series and probably a very difficult theme to carry on with. But I just want to say I'm so glad to have you here and turn the mic over to you. Are you ready?
Well, I don't know, but let's see. Let's see.
I know who is really ready.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And again, I just want to say thank you to Dan for featuring me. So this first poem I'm going to be reading is dedicated to my grandfather who passed a couple months ago. So it's called Ashes. Your fingers curl like cigarette smoke to the rhythm of your shaking breath, the quiver of a man who's not yet ready to load the gun and fire. Fire that smolders in your heaving chest with stiff staccato breaths, coughing up the muddled clots of words once left unsaid. Fire that blazes, bursts, belches forth from your aching throat, that hisses with the hacking hum of secrets stripped down naked. Fire that fades from glassy eyes that harden in the kiln. Embers glow, fading, fading, until they're cold to touch. In the water where we left you, I saw you drift away, but from where I stood, I could have sworn that you were standing still, and here I was, gripping the rail, white-knuckled, my feet shifting on the deck, floating farther and farther away from you, until you were out of sight. And here I was, my eyes gazed downward, the morning wind chilling my cheek, swirling down into the water and rippling into nothing. And here I was, my feet on the shore, the waves crash calling me back, but I had enough sense to keep my eyes fixed, facing forward. But even then, I cannot leave. My feet are fused to the ground. The scent of incense chokes me. Your ashes cling to my clothes. Okay, so that's the first one. Next up, I will read this poem. So the title is Con ơi. Now, Con ơi is a phrase in Vietnamese which means dear child or dear son or dear daughter, something like that. Con ơi, let me tell you about the waves that crash against the shore. Swirling back and forth, yearning, they wait for those of us who left because we had no choice. If only you knew about lines on maps crisscrossing ourselves into neat little slices, and caskets wrapped up in our flag, 3 claw marks on yellow skin, they look like Christmas presents. If only you knew about napalm, crisping up flesh like fat in a fryer, or trees stripped off of all the bark, fingers still clawing to get a taste. We were hungry then, but we're hungry still. Oh God, we are so hungry still. If only you knew about there and here. How there my father died, and here his body lies. How there we are, and here we aren't. How all we have is what we lost, so now we're left with nothing. So when I speak about the waves that crash against the shore, they do not yearn. They do not wait for those of us who left. Because we did not leave. Because we could not leave. Because we had no choice. And then next up, I think this poem is probably very pertinent to what's going on in the news and just everything in general. It's called Us. Wake up, darling, she said to me. Come and watch the show. So I opened my eyes, and when I did, I saw blood-red sands baking in the sun with clear blue sky above it, and a cloud of the whitest of whites bleaching the horizon. And before she was swallowed up, she looked to me and smiled. Some call it a melting pot. I call it a nuclear reactor about to explode, because here division is the only sure thing when all else has failed. Because you can't light a city without splitting a few atoms, because it's only in the light of the blast that you can see yourself clearly. We are the lines we carved around us, the negative space, the silence between words, the shadows seared onto our streets that can't be scrubbed away. We are the rebel, the wreck, the rust, the rot, the hand that raises from what remains and drips red, white, and blue. So wake up, darling, she says again. Come and watch the show. So I open my eyes, and when I do, for the first time, I see us. 3, 2, 1, begin. Okay. Now this next poem is technically my longest poem, which means it's going to take about 2 minutes to read. 2 minute 30 if I'm reading it dramatically, but reflections. 1. If you catch sunlight in a mirror and point it back at something, they'll catch on fire. In other words, to confront something with itself is to destroy it. So let us set ourselves ablaze in the mirror's face and see all that remains. 2. They say beauty is only skin deep. So let's peel back our skin layer by layer and run off into the night before they catch up with us. And if, my dear, they hunt us down to stick our skin back on, I'll claw them away and run back to where we came from, where they can hurt us no more. 3. They'll try and take our flesh, rip it off the bone, boil it in a rusty pot, sink their teeth, and swallow. They'll do anything for a meal, They're hungry, and so are we. They'll hold your head down in the water and crack your skull and spine just to feel full for a moment. So I'll heave off hunks of flesh and throw them to the dogs behind us until my bones can breathe and you can follow. 4. If our bones prove too burdensome, I'll smash them against the ground they came from and cast them away before they come. And so they'll take the dust within their hands, grasping, grabbing, gripping the pieces, sniffing for a scent of us to prove that we were ever there. But we'll be looking from all around, giggling to ourselves as we rest where we are, just beyond their reach. 5. If you really want to find us, look back in the mirror, and if you catch the sun, there we will be, a trick of the light, a reflection in the glass. Okay. And again, I have not filled up this 20 minutes very well, but this is my final poem for tonight, and it is called Eden. Ignorance is bliss. Because I had never tasted blood before, you told me I could be hit. My cheek never knew the touch of concrete until you told me it could be our mattress. Poison never sunk into my skin until you told me we were the rats. I never knew what wrong was until we were already damned, so we learned about solitude instead. We built our homes out of the things we wish we did not know. of sunken eyes that never sleep, of calloused feet worn out from running, of broken hands raised up high, pleading for salvation, only to meet their Maker instead. And so we should have known that an eye is not worth the tears that well up in it, that a voice is not worth being choked into silence, that a body is not worth being bloody and beaten, that nothing could be worth this, nothing at all. And yet, I had never heard my name before your lips first spoke it. I had never learned to speak until you told me my words were my own. I had never seen the light until your eyes gazed into mine. My tongue was tied and my skin didn't fit, but then you pressed against them. So yes, ignorance is bliss, but so are we. Thank you.
Unmute, ladies and gentlemen, and wow, wow.
Beautiful.
Very
Wow.
beautifully expressed all of those topics. Oh, gosh. Mm. Mm.
Wow. Amazing. Just wow.
Mm, mm.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.